The mop bucket slams against her boots. "You heard me, sweetheart," Colonel Brennan sneers, gesturing toward the latrine. "Those toilets won't scrub themselves." Around the briefing room, 20 officers watch in silence, some smirking, others staring at their boots. The girl doesn't argue. She just picks up the brush, her hands steady despite the humiliation burning across her face. But there's something in her eyes. Something the colonel missed. And when the base commander walks through that door in exactly 90 seconds, every person in this room will understand what real authority looks like. Her name is Lieutenant Sarah Chan, 24 years old, fresh out of officer candidate school. She arrived at Naval Station Norfolk 6 hours ago with orders sealed in a manila envelope, the kind that doesn't get opened by anyone below flag rank. But Colonel Brennan doesn't care about envelopes. He sees a young woman in a crisp uniform, no combat ribbons, no deployment patches. He sees an easy target. "Something funny, Lieutenant?" Brennan's voice cuts through the silence. Sarah's jaw tightens. "No, sir. Then get moving. I want those floors spotless. Before the Admiral's inspection at 0900. What? The colonel doesn't know what he couldn't possibly know is that Sarah Chan spent the last 8 months in a CIA black site outside Kandahar. While Brennan pushed papers in his air-conditioned office, she was extracting intelligence from networks so deep that her own government can't acknowledge her existence. The envelope in the commander's office contains a presidential commendation and orders assigning her to lead the Navy's newest counterintelligence unit. But protocol demands silence until the official ceremony, so she kneels. She dips the brush into chemical blue water. The door opens. Admiral James Hawthorne enters, 3 stars gleaming on his collar. 62 years old, a man who fought in the Gulf and hasn't smiled since his son's funeral in Arlington. Every officer snaps to attention. Every officer except Sarah, still on her knees, brush in hand. Brennan's chest swells. Admiral on deck. But Hawthorne isn't looking at him. The Admiral's eyes lock onto Sarah Chin. His weathered face shifts through confusion, recognition, then something that might be awe. He crosses the room in 4 strides. And then, in front of 20 witnesses, Admiral James Hawthorne comes to attention and renders the sharpest salute of his career. "Lieutenant Commander Chan," his voice cracks just slightly. "It's an honor." The mop bucket tips over. Blue water spreads across the floor. Sarah rises slowly, returns the salute. "Sir, you've been promoted?" Brennan's voice is barely a whisper. Hawthorne turns, his expression carved from stone. "Lieutenant Commander Chan is the recipient of the Defense Intelligence Medal for actions I'm not cleared to discuss. She's taking command of Spec War Detachment 7 at 0800. He pauses, letting the silence crush. "Which makes her your direct superior, Colonel." The oxygen leaves the room. Sarah picks up the mop, hands it to Brennan. "Those toilets won't scrub themselves, Colonel." Her voice is calm, measured, professional. No malice, just fact. "I expect spotless floors before my first briefing." Brennan's face cycles through crimson, white, gray. His hand trembles as he takes the mop. Admiral Hawthorne leans close to Sarah, his voice low enough that only she can hear. "Your father would be proud." Then louder for everyone, "Welcome home, Commander." As Hawthorne exits, Sarah surveys the officers frozen in shock. She doesn't gloat, doesn't lecture. She simply says, "Briefing in 20 minutes. Don't be late." Then she walks out, leaving Colonel Brennan holding a mop in a puddle of his own making. Sometimes the people we underestimate are the ones who've already proven themselves in ways we'll never comprehend. Drop a comment if you've ever been underestimated and what you did when you finally got the chance to prove them wrong.